Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Dorsey. This is take 2 of our bounce back with a vengeance. Today on the Bonsai Balcony, it's going to be kind of I'm going to do, it's not a two-parter, but I'm going to do a couple of little things today. We're going to start off by candle cutting these Mame Japanese black pines that you see there. There is 4 of them in the frame. But wait, one of them looks like I may have already worked on it. I did. This is take 2. I'm kind of moved away from the microphone while I doled out Frida's per diem. So a couple of days ago, we had a debacle up here on the balcony with my lighting set up, and there was a whole show about that. But in case you're seeing these out of sequence, this is us moving on with our lives, and we're getting on with our candle cutting. I set the camera up on a small display table so that I can do handheld with it in a little while. In the meantime, I started doing candle cutting, and I started with this guy, and then I checked focus by sticking my head around back, and I saw that the camera was giving me a warning I'd never seen before. It was an exclamation point. I don't know what that means, but it was in red. So I stopped camera and looked at the footage. It would have been fine as far as I know. I don't know why it was doing that. It's not doing that now. But in the meantime, I'd already removed 2 candles. I'd already removed 2 candles off of this tree, and they were there and there. So it was this candle, and we can see the green stalk from this year's candle. All of that was the indicator from last year's growth to this year's growth. And I'd also mentioned that if you were going to do some grafting or something, that those guys might make some pretty okay grafting pieces. So now we'll just move on to the next one, and when we're done with that, I want to show a little bit about what's going on up here. These trees all have several things in common. They are all Mame, which is tiny. They are all Japanese black pines, and they've all had their fertilizer removed weeks ago, and now it is time to go through and remove their candles. They're all in bonsai pots. That's the other thing that they have in common. So their roots are being currently restricted. Right now you can see we have tiny trees, tiny pots, huge needles. That's how they are responding to these new candles, the new vigorous growth, the amount of roots that they put on over the winter, and are feeding up until just a little while back. So what it did then was made these candles, and we go and let those grow out for a little while. We just keep an eye on them, and then when it comes late spring, we pick up the fertilizer that we have out, or we stop feeding it, and then given enough time, say 30 days for that to run out of the tree, we would then go back through and cut the candles, and that is what we are doing now. I'm trying to get this, the little spot that I have to cut on that one was quite a bit shorter. I did not want to cut the buds behind it, and I didn't, but that was a little trickier to do on this guy. And so this is one more to go. Right in. Now the tree will respond to this in the following way. It will put out a cluster of buds starting in the next 3 weeks. It will put out a cluster of buds in that site where I just cut those. It's not the only way you can stimulate buds. The other way, I said just a couple of weeks ago and a couple programs back, not cutting candles also stimulates buds. So it's that's not the reason we do it. The reason we cut candles on Japanese black pines that are in bonsai pots is to decrease internode length and to decrease needle length. And when we do that work on the trees depends on how small we need the needles to be. These being Shohin, we will wait till the very end of candle cutting season to cut the candles, and that will give us the least amount of time for these candles to rejuvenate. Let me see something right quick. That will give these candles the least, when it puts out a second cluster, it will not have the whole season that these guys have had to do what they're doing. I'm trying to get a handle on just where, okay, I see it. That had gone on long enough to where it was going to be hard to see where to cut it. I'm just kind of getting my eye. That's where we're going to cut this guy right here. Boom. So what it'll do now is put out a cluster there. A cluster meaning probably more than 4 at that side. And while I go through and use my rule of 3, saying anything over than 3 has to be cut back to 2, no. I will wait until fall. I will let, whether that's 4 buds or 6 buds or a bunch of buds or a school bus load of buds, whatever that is, I'm going to let them go ahead and go until fall. They will get all of the energy between themselves, between their numbers, and their needle length will be that long according to how much energy they had divided up between them. At that point, when they're as long as they're going to get, which will be quite a bit shorter than what we see now, then I'll go back and I will select from 6, 8, 4, whatever it is, down to 2. And that just about concludes this guy, except for right. Oh, if I'd have done what I almost tried to do just then, I would have clipped off a whole bunch of needles. That can happen, but poor form. If we can not do that, that's better, she says as she clips off needles. Okay. So with that, these guys all got their candles cut. And now I'm going to and let's move in and have a look at our trees. Have a look at what we got here. So there we are. Boom, you can kind of see where that guy's missing. I'm going to go through and, nope, I've already got that. That's good. So that's the candle cutting. First year in their bonsai pots. First year little bonsai trees. And their first candle cut. So this guy, this little peanut wabi-sabi guy, its whiskers were looking especially long. I think it's coming along really nice. I hope it keeps its energy going. I have some other small Mame, and if they were looking a little yellow or something, I left the substrate. I keep doing that. I left the fertilizer in them. You don't fertilize, you don't candle cut on trees that look, unless they're vigorous, unless they're healthy, their health is good, and they look like they're ready to go. Also, if you have older pine, if you have cork bark pines, and you may not decandle those every year. Also, if they're older trees, you may not decandle every year. You just do it on a year-by-year basis. So I'm kind of doing little follow-up thoughts while I'm panning around to all the different various and sundry trees. Back to our little thing we had going on the other day, the end result is, I think this layout is green and lush and has everybody, I kind of like the look. It may be that I really think this is a cool look, or it may be I was just tired of the other one. I've known that about me before. I can sometimes decorate something right the first time and then just over time get tired of it. I won't like the alternative either because I had it right the first time. But I kind of like this, the sole exception being, some of you may have noticed I had a Ponderosa here, and I was thinking that might be its forever home because it kind of it kind of hung out of its little saucer-shaped pot. I moved that guy to right there. It's just as easy as I'm got that guy in frame now. I can water that guy from there, and it gets excellent light from Del Sol and our overheads. So I think that's a good spot. That will free up this table here when I'm not using it as our tabletop for our shoot. So to that extent, I'm believing that I'm going to move that one guy back there in the corner. My Dawn Redwood. I need to move this to get to the Dawn Redwood. It's watered there. Today is really cool and crisp. It's happy there. Everything's fine there. But getting it out of there, it would be a bit of a problem. And having to water it by reaching over this all the time, over this tree, would probably be a pain in the butt. So I'm going to take the Dawn Redwood out of there and bring it to here. That also means that I can keep a closer eye on it. It doesn't do well when it gets when I can't get up close and personal with it. I don't always see the powdery mildew or whatever else it decides, whatever other curve it decides to throw us. Today, while I was up, I was putting zip ties up, replacing the zip ties up on these guys. I had used aluminum wire that I had like tripled up and threw in there to get the lights hung. Now I've got like 300-pound test zip ties strapping those puppies in. So I had to go back up and do a little finish up work. And while I was up there, I was looking down at the tops of the trees, trying to see if I could see some damage that I hadn't seen from Earth looking up at them. And I saw where I've got some damage to a pot. This is a really, really nice bonsai pot that now we put a chip in. That's a shame. There might be others, I don't know. I thought that I'd lost a few things on the oak, but what I'm finding is we just did a trim on that the other day, and like the pieces that I just pulled out of it right then, that was left over from my cutback. And by the way, I shouldn't have left clippings in the foliage after you trim them. They will shadow the living and rob them of their energy. So that's one thing I always see the landscapers here do. They will cut all the foliage off of the top of something and leave it laying there like a canopy on the top, and everything on the top that they didn't cut turns yellow and dies because it didn't get any light because of all the crap laying on top of it. Anyway, that's enough of me dissing on our landscapers. I bet they didn't drop lights on their bonsai trees, Pat. So anyway, everybody's looking good. I think everybody's in a good place. I think these guys might be okay there. If not, there is an alternative for them. They could go right above there. This wisteria could hang out this way, and then it would be totally okay with a long tray sitting right across there. So that's an alternative, but I kind of like it here as long as they look like they're okay, and I'm going to give them a minute to look. I think our literati pine is happy there. I think our oaks are happy there. I think all of our little ponderosas and our few pines that are in here are probably in a really good place for now. I'm going to keep a monitor and start moving things around, and just as if they look like they're unhappy. But overall, I'm pretty okay with the way this is all looking so far, the new setup. The top of this tree looks ragged to me after, that's broke. That's broke right there. What else is broke? That's broke. That's broke. That's what we did on our top chalk just a little while back. So, even then we didn't kill anything that we hadn't already just been working on a few days before. So, yeah, that's kind of got us. I think our oaks are fine. I did see some scratches on the top of this stuff, but we're about to have an up close personal look at this Ponderosa. Let me just say, tonight's Saturday Night Live Bonsai will be some stuff to do with this Ponderosa pine. So yeah, this would be a heads up if you were going to see this video before that, but you won't. I just thought of that as I said it. Pat's not always sharpest bulb in the box. Anyway, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. The crows are mentioning that I've let their supplies run low. We'll have to hop to. I appreciate you. Frida appreciates you. Our next drop will be midweek. I say that because I'm going to do a show tonight, but you're going to see this show after we do our live bonsai show. And thank you all so much for watching. This is us doing a little catch up on our new look on our new balcony, and also incorporating a little bit of our candle cutting on our little Mame, a Japanese black pines. Cool.